dangerous part of this act. For the people in the front row, not for me. Light your cigarette now. Ah!
Giant guitars, beckon drivers to the sound of the street. It's kind of like an ocean that comes for pleasure, a hidden treasure that gets the job done. Full moon madness does exist if you let it. You can't do it what you wish if you can get it.
A busker is a street performer. The street is their stage. They once played an important role in the performing arts. Now they're banned from many cities and are even considered panhandlers. Others think they give urban life a more human touch.
You really get a chance to see what people are like. You know, I don't think many people get a chance in the 20th century to stand on the corner for 4 hours and watch people go by. It's a nice thing to be able to do.
When I set my stuff down, as soon as I step my stuff, I'm sort of inviting people into my own little theater, as it were. It was just about Richard Simmons, okay? It was about nobody else.
Juggler-comedian John McCorkle is a veteran of the street stage. He's known as Johnny Toronto.
Here's some guys we look back with fear and loathing upon, especially this time of year in Canada. Some old tax collectors. Here's the 1972 tax collector. Looks something like this. Give me that money. Give me that money. Give me that money. 1982 tax collector. Give me that money, give me that money, give me that money, give me that money, give me that money. 1992 tax collector, the GST of the juggling world, the gouge and screw tax, the Gestapo sales tax, the go shop Tonawanda tax. 1992 tax collector. Gimme, 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 gimme. Woo! Yeah! Oh, thank you. Whoa. Yikes.
I was a high school teacher and I was teaching drama. And I remember getting my students to put on plays, and I was more interested in variety theater. For instance, doing magic and clowning and juggling than I was in legitimate theater. So I had them do clown shows and stuff, and we took it around to the hospitals. And at some point in the second year, I went, I would much sooner be doing this myself. I hate standing back and watching them perform. I'd like to be in front of these people performing.
Jazz musician Richard Underhill has played Toronto's streets since the mid-'80s with his band The Shuffle Demons. The band was born in the sidewalk and created an image and sound they called Streetnik.
I remember the very first time was, I think, in front of a Chick Corea concert, and I started playing on the street just, I think, out of boredom more than anything. There was a huge lineup, and you know, it was an hour or two before the show, so I thought, why not? And I had a stupid little sign, you know, help me get to see Chick. It was a lot of fun to play outside, and the sound was really nice because it was echoing off the buildings, and I guess that's how I got hooked.
Hell, baby, I am your monkey man, your monkey. I'll be your monkey man.
John Rame and Greg Weir call themselves Pieces of Train. They started busking in a typical fashion.
Our first experience with street performance, I guess, was when we took a trip to Europe a few summers back, and that was really our first time ever playing live on the street, and it was a trial and error sort of experience we had. But we found once we were doing it, it's just, you know, every day it was our bread and butter at that time, and it provided us with a good source of income.
I used to want to be a mime, but I couldn't shut up long enough. Anyway, Marcel, the guy that does all that mime stuff, comes down to Eaton Center, does a little juggling act. It looks something like this.
Marcel Marceau is one of many street performers who eventually became household names. Busking has a rich history that goes back long before Marceau's time. Murray Smith is a musicologist who's writing a thesis on busking.
The 1st century AD, they have evidence of people busking in the Hippodrome. They also have evidence of street poets telling people what they don't like, politically speaking. But when you go back into the Middle Ages, the musical buskers were also schooled in juggling, and as comedians and as buffoons, they could do it all. And they moved very freely in society from the very high classes of the aristocracy to the lowest classes and bringing music, dance, art to the people.
So, you want to play on the street? Well, the first thing you have to do is pick a good location. Now, for example, this is not a good location. There's stairs, people will be coming in and out. You don't want that. What you want is a nice spot where you can get out of the traffic and have something like this maybe, where there's a wall behind you that will reflect your sound. Because one thing you're doing out on the street is you're competing with sirens, babies crying, and taxi cabs honking their horns. So you have to have that projection. That'll really help you get noticed.
The street has proven to be a great start for Underhill and the Shuffle Demons. They've recorded 4 albums and have played concerts and festivals all over Europe and North America.
I think the Shuffle Demons really reflect our experiences that we had on the street and how we dealt with them. And when 2 women are stripping a drunk in front of you, I mean, you know, it gives you a certain edge that you've got to, you know, you have to kind of go with it. You have to have, it gave us our sense of fun, our sense of humor, and our sense of anything could happen. And I think we've kind of translated that onto the stage.
The Demons' first video, Spadinabus, recalls the good times they served up in the street.
I like, you know, at the end when everyone in the video of Spadinabus is jumping around and dancing on the street and really enjoying themselves. There's been many a time when we used to play at the Eaton Centre when that happened. You know, it was the first day of spring and we had 300 or 400 people around us. And you couldn't even, the case, who knows where the case went? We hardly do the street as the Shuffle Demons anymore. I mean, the street can be grueling. We're still up to it, but it's nice to, I think the problem is that, you know, and unfortunately in our society we respect money and we respect power and we respect how you look and not what you do. So if people see you playing on the street, they kind of slot you into that side of the brain, like, oh, they're street musicians, not just, oh, they're musicians and, well, maybe they're okay. So we're kind of having to move forward and, you know, and break into soft seaters, concert venues, and really make an effort to have people appreciate us for that kind of a group. I think it's something that's really in my blood, me more than any of the Shuffle Demons. I think people can perceive it poorly, but I'm still going to keep doing it. I think most people who start playing on the street place the case right in front of them. But this makes it a little bit alienating for the passers-by to try and actually put something in your case. Because they're trying to put something in, but you're playing in their ear. So that doesn't really work out. So there's a couple of options. First of all, you can place it a good 3 feet out in front of you. And this gives them some room, and they won't feel so embarrassed if they're going to put money in. However, if we're on a street here and people are walking by, you don't want to create a disturbance. Remember, the police are your friends, and you have to keep it that way when you're on the street. So try not to create too much of a disturbance. So what I find usually works best is if you place the case about 3 or 4 feet off to one side.
Well, I'm a direct descendant of the ape, my friend. And when I look in a mirror, I just can't pretend.
In many ways, Pieces of Train represent the typical busker. They have day jobs, they play a few club shows, but they rely on subway and street performance for some extra cash and a free rehearsal space.
Yeah, the street we found is a good place to practice for our upcoming club shows, and it provides us with an opportunity to bring our music to people who normally wouldn't hear it in clubs.
Come forward, made for more than history. The time it goes on. as it goes past.
In this current economic climate we're in at the moment, where anyone can lose their job at any given time, one bit of advice we got from a busker we met in Amsterdam was that as long as you've got your guitar and your voice, you'll never be without $1 or a place to sleep or food to eat.
Thank you.
Money. That's an important part of playing on the street, obviously, because maybe that's why you're doing it. Maybe you're doing it for fun, and maybe a little bit of both. But what you really need to do in order to at least get yourself started is seed the case. What we call seeding the case, usually with a $2 bill. Now, depending where you are, you might want to use a 10 guilder note if you're in Holland, or a 10 Deutschmark note in Germany. But you place the $2 bill in the case. Now, we note here we have a kind of a messy case. You want to clean that up. Oh, I feel like I'm on a gardening show. You want to clean this up a little. Clean up the case. Now, you're also noticing, perhaps, that the $2 bill is moving in the wind. And there's been several times when I've been caught running after small amounts of money down the street. It's kind of embarrassing. So the best thing to do for that is to take a little handful of change and hold it down. So people are aware that, yes, you're worth at least $2, and they might actually catch the idea that they should try and secure it in some way, especially if it's a windy day.
For John McCorkle, busking is a full-time business.
Hi, Johnny. It's Peter Dunn calling from Brockville.
He's in demand, performing in comedy clubs, country fairs, and private engagements.
Life was simple at one point. You just got up and, well, I slept until about noon, and then got up and messed around, practiced most of the day, and then headed out on the streets about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, unless it was Sunday, and then down the beaches about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But now it's like phone call after phone call. Sometimes I think I am working in an office. Juggling is kind of an absurd, if I may philosophize for a moment, juggling is kind of an absurd, paradoxical art, because you spend hours and hours by yourself in your privacy of your own backyard or bedroom or studio in order to go out and entertain people in a big group. But literally, you spend hours all by yourself practicing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's got to be boring, and it's got to be an antisocial activity. But hey, you're doing it so that you can go out and amuse people. Here's my impression of a helicopter. Here.
I've been doing it for 12 years, and I still have trouble going out and just sort of gathering a crowd from nothing.
Anytime you feel this to be sort of neat to look at, you can applaud.
That's the hardest part of a street show.
Yes.
When I first put my stuff down and I look around and I think, I have to gather this crowd from nothing. They're walking by, they have better things to do, but I have to make them stop and enjoy themselves here in my show. I know that they're going to enjoy themselves once into it, and I usually know that by the time I get up on that unicycle, I'm going to have a really big, happy crowd.
Wait a second, Jerry. Whoa, stay right there. Now, Jerry, I'm going to keep doing this, Jerry, until your hair looks like mine, all right? Because that's how I started. Some goof named Jerry got me up to do this. And by the way, I'm not only the hair club president, I'm also a client. Jerry's been a great volunteer. Give him a really big round of applause. Thanks, Jerry. Go. Close up on this one, yeah.
I have to be pretty versatile. You're working against all kinds of elements. It could be windy, it could be starting to rain. Plus, I have to have that rapport with the audience.
Before I juggle the torches, a couple of basic moves. Just basic moves on the tall unicycle. First of all, forward. And of course, more forward.
Doing street shows aren't like a step to something. They're not where you begin. You have to be pretty good to come out and do a street show. You can't expect to just come out and just do anything that you're good at and expect to draw a crowd and then make them stay 40 minutes and then make them pay, or ask them to pay at the end and do well. You have to already know your stuff.
Okay. One last thing before I do this, I just want to remind you, I am a street performer. This is what I do for a living full time. In a second, I'll be coming down and how you doing? It's my agent just passing by at that moment. I'm doing the money rap, yes. In a second I'll be coming down and passing my hat, or rather just putting it right over here somewhere. Right now I'm memorizing all of your faces. And if you don't put any money in my hat, I just might follow you home tonight.
I think what I do at the end of the show is kind of unique. I hardly even notice that I'm asking for money. I guess I am. I forget sometimes. Busking is a long way from begging, because I have a skill, I have it's entertainment value that they're seeing, and I'm not actually passing my hat and approaching anybody to put any money in my hat. I'm just putting it there, and they're welcome to come up, and if they enjoyed the show, they can put money in.
Woo! Yeah! Oh yeah! Go crazy! Go crazy! Yeah! Oh! I can't believe it myself! Oh! Woo! Yeah! Thank you!
You know, I can only hope that I've given them some fun moments. Often people come up and say, you know, I'm having a real tough time in this city. I'm really lonely, and you've brightened up my afternoon, or brightened up my evening. And thank you for that. And that gives me a big kick. I think the audiences have given me more than I've given them.
The only missing ingredient, I guess, at this point, is to play.
Man.
You've been a great audience. Thanks very much. Banana fish. Woo! Yeah. Thank you.
It's nice to say thank you, too, if you're not playing.